if you know an accountant, then we're quite good fun to have at parties. We're quite good fun to have at beach clubs and all other fun kind of activities, but we're also quite good in helping you save some money. So I've been tremendously popular with my friends who run businesses and my friends' parents who are trying to pay off the mortgage and all sorts of things like that, where occasionally I can use this knowledge that I gained working in finance, helping rich people and rich companies not pay any tax. I can use that to help out regular people like us, and that feels good. And you know what's actually even better? It turns out that I started playing around with AI about 3-ish years ago. And it turns out that AI is pretty good with numbers and logic and structured thinking, all the things that make a fantastic accountant. So I have trained up AI to be my accounts assistant. I started doing this about 3 years ago. And if you scroll back through my ChatGPT history, of course, long before I was aware of LaunchLemonade, so back in like November 2022 when ChatGPT came out, I can trace back like every year I've tried to get ChatGPT to do my accounts for me. So I run a limited company in the UK, which is, I guess, kind of like a C Corp in the US. To our US friends, I might have completely butchered that. International tax wasn't my speciality, but I run a limited company in the UK, and every year you have to file your statements and your tax and your profit and loss and lots of other numbers with the government. And if you scroll back through my ChatGPT, the first year I tried to get ChatGPT to help me was abysmal, just awful. Like right at the start, it was sort of like 3 + 7 = bankruptcy. I don't know. I'm an AI. I can't help you. So the first year I tried to do it, very bad. Second year, ChatGPT 4 had just come out, and it got me a bit closer, but the results were still pretty ropey. And then earlier this year, I had used GPT or OpenAI's O3 model, which is what's called a reasoning model. And actually, it caught some stuff that I hadn't thought of. It caught some stuff that I hadn't noticed and did a better job than I could have myself. And I thought that was quite impressive. And I think this is really the way the world is going with AI. Like, for those of you who are using it kind of in general, write me some content, look at this document, tell me what's wrong with it, things like that. And it gives you stuff that sounds really plausible. But when you go into your own area of speciality, I think sometimes you might find, oh, hang on, that's not quite right. But the interesting thing is that's getting less and less as the models get better and better. So from 3 years ago, AI being laughably bad to now it being better than I am at filing my own accounts, that's sort of the rate of progress we're going on. And that's kind of happening across all domains. But I thought it'd be fun to share with you how I use it, maybe a prompt, maybe some insights into how I think about using it for finance. And then maybe you can go away and hopefully save some money for yourself, either for you or your business. If you're a solo founder, a freelancer, a consultant, maybe save you a bit of money on your taxes. If you're just a regular person that has no interest in accounts whatsoever, and you are missing out on some fun, if so, then maybe you can save some money in your personal life. Maybe there's a few subscriptions we can cancel. So I'm just going to share a couple of insights here using this funky deck. So how to save money with AI with guest Henry Blanchard. That's me. Thank you for having me, Shen.
We don't see the screen yet.
We can't see yet. That, or you know what? I didn't even press share screen. That's how much of a boomer I'm being today. Right, here we go. I'm going to click share. Thank you for keeping me honest, Shen. Okay. Can you see this?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So here's how I like to think about it. This is from an accountancy and a finance point of view, but this is pretty much what you need for most type of interaction with AI. So I'm going to quickly talk about model, about data, and about instructions. So when you're thinking about finance, you are doing what I like to call reasoning. So there are some specific AI models that are very good at reasoning. Now, a lot of people in the world, I'd say probably 99.5% of people in the world won't have really heard of any of these AI models. Most people will go to chat.com, chatgpt.com, type some text in a box, and that will be the limit of their interaction with AI. Fortunately, for most of us on this call, and if you aren't aware of it, you're finding out just now, I'm thrilled for you, the AI rabbit hole goes a lot deeper. There's a lot of businesses all over the world creating these AI models, and a lot of them are very, very sophisticated and very good in a way that you probably won't have experienced if you've only ever used ChatGPT. So you can get all of these through LaunchLemonade as well. So these models are called reasoning models, which kind of means they actually think, or at least appear to think about the data that's going in. They can make longer term plans. They can really chew things through. They can do calculations a lot better. I put a little broken heart by OpenAI 03 because you can now no longer publicly use that model. LaunchLemonade is the only place I found where I can get hold of it. So briefly, these are the only models I would recommend using for your high-end finance applications and needs, for going through accounts, for trying to save money. Gemini 2.5 Pro is the latest model from Google. They also have a faster model called Flash. Flash is absolutely useless at accounts. I speak from experience, don't use it. Grok 4 is from XAI, the company owned by Elon Musk. Very, very good at reasoning. GPT-5 High is the advanced model from OpenAI that, again, not a lot of people know how to access. Sonnet 4.5 is the latest model from Anthropic. It's a Claude model. And then everything else I wouldn't even think about using to do your accounts. So,
Henry,
yes.
before we proceed, is this in order then? Like the fat Gemini 2.5 Pro is like your favorite, and then Grok 4, and then GPT-5 High.
Yeah, I would say it's sort of Gemini 2.5 Pro, then the other 4, and then everything else underneath.
Gotcha.
For me, for this use case, but again, anything like complex that you want to do. So there's a real movement around the world now of people using AI to kind of help solve maths and physics problems that are currently unsolved, and sort of just touching around the edges of trying to create new knowledge with AI that humans haven't done yet. And the models people are using for that are GPT-5 High and Gemini 2.5 Pro. Everything else isn't nearly good enough to do it yet. And this will all change in a few months when the new generation of models come out. But yeah, Gemini 2.5 Pro is where I'd say you should start. I'm probably going to demonstrate with Grok 4 in a minute, just because through trial and error, I like how it outputs stuff. And this is maybe a tip, actually. Like, instead of, like, a lot of people will say you should use this model for this. Actually, they all behave slightly differently. And I think it's better that you use a tool that you're comfortable with rather than kind of dogmatically following what someone else would say. So I'm going to show you how I saved, and a quick story time. So my partner and I sat down a few months ago, and we thought, we both AI, kind of heavy users of AI, and we thought, let's see how much money AI can save us. So we sat down, we uploaded all of our personal statements, our business statements into AI, and just gave it a very broad brief. Said, hey, what are we doing wrong here? Could you save us any money? And over the course of an evening, some prompting backwards and forwards, we ended up saving about £9,500, so $13,000 in an evening with AI. So we certainly covered the cost of our LaunchLemonade subscription for many, many years, just based off that one evening. And I'm going to give you kind of a demo of how we did it and how we thought about it. So first thing we did was we got all of our bank statements and uploaded them and dumped them into an AI model. Now, this is an example dummy bank statement, but I'm just going to show you how to think about cleaning up a bank statement to feed it into AI. So really, the thing that AI needs is just like a list of the transactions. So transaction details, date, and the amount. Like, if you're going to do this for yourself, all the kind of the fluff data you don't need to have here. And I'll show you why. So this graph is slightly out of date because it uses slightly older models. In the prep for this session, I couldn't find a good enough graph that showed this for the new models. But this is how models degrade the more like data and instruction you give them in your prompt, in your upload. So you can see here, the longer the context length, basically the more words you dump into it, the less well it performs. So thinking about uploading a load of financial transaction data, what I would suggest is to delete the stuff that doesn't add anything. So you can see here, this account number is the same for every single transaction here. This is dummy data I found on the internet. But there's no value in feeding this information to the AI. So I delete it. I would delete, this is just like these two columns here are just check number and a transaction number. They don't really add anything. So I delete that. I delete that. The dates here are duplicated. I don't think there's any value in having both of those. So I delete that. And then potentially you could even delete the running balance amount there, as actually we're interested more in the transactions rather than the final balance. So there, I've cleaned the data. The data is about half the size it would be otherwise. And that generally gives better results. Of course, you could use an AI to do that for you, but I think sometimes it's nice to have like a manual feel for the data you're giving the AI. And sometimes it's easier to troubleshoot if you've kind of got hands-on, like you've kind of kneaded the dough to make the bread yourself. So that's what I recommend. And then what you do with it is, so the third thing, we've talked about the model, we've talked about the data. Now we'll talk about the instructions. So I'm just gonna load up. So I've called this my Warren Buffett money guru in LaunchLemonade. So I've created kind of a custom AI that's designed to chew through financial statements. So what I will do here, I'm just going to...
Henry, can you make it bigger?
Can I make it bigger? As in...
Zoom.
Okay.
Command
Like
plus.
that. You got it? Yeah, okay. So I've got my Buffett Money Guru here. It's using Grok 4. And then it opens with, give me your statements, please. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Ask me to analyze. I'm just going to upload another set of dummy transactions here just to show you how it works. So if you see here, I've got personal account transactions.csv, so a .csv file. It's basic like an Excel file. And it's reading it and it's thinking. And then what it's going to do is so it's just printed out like a long list. This is all the transactions in there. Now for you, this looks like a big, big ream of data. Like, to me as an accountant, I'm thrilled by this. But to the average person, you're like, okay, great. This is a lot of information with some commas and date. Like, I can't really do much with that. Fortunately for AI, this is like a buffet garnished with some cilantro, some thyme, some oregano. Like, this is delicious data for an AI. So we get down to the bottom. I'm just going to ask it to analyze. Okay. Do your thing, AI. I've created this little custom instruction that's going to ask it to chew through everything. So whilst it's chewing through, I'm going to show you what the back end of the instruction looks like. So we have this system here. We call it RCode for building instructions. If you've spent any time with Shen, I'm sure she'll have mentioned this to you. If you looked at the LaunchLemonade documentation, it will have this in. There's many different ways of writing prompts, but we have found this to be particularly effective. So on the back end, I've got this money saving build here with a role. You're a friendly but meticulous financial consultant. Your primary objective is to help the user rationalize their personal and business expenditures, identify potential savings, and find duplicate or unnecessary expenses. The context is the stuff that AI needs to know. So this is me, or potentially yourself. You're working with a smart but financially uneducated user. This primes the AI to not throw in loads of jargon, to treat them like an adult, but to recognize they're probably not an accountant. They're probably not a financial analyst. So make it relatable to them. The objective, analyze the financial data supplied, help the user save as much money. And then we break it down a little bit more in task. So analyze the provided list of transactions thoroughly. analysis notes, after, here's how I want you to output this. And again, like when you see a long prompt like this, it's likely that AI will have helped the user generate this prompt. So I used AI to help me generate a prompt that was comprehensive. And then I ran it a few times and added my own edits in every time to make it better and more personalized. So we go back to our AI, which has been cooking. Hopefully it's been cooking. We've got to scroll all the way down. Right. Okay. So below is my detailed analysis of all the financial transactions you provided. Okay. Since you're a sole trader in the UK, I've noted where expenses might be business deductible. I've done all this different kind of stuff. And then what it's done is it's given an item, a monthly cost, why I might want to review it, and then suggested actions and questions for me. And you'll see it's done an awful lot of analysis down here of different donations, of different subscriptions. So for instance, like a HelloFresh food subscription there, it's told me that it's a meal kit, in case I wasn't aware of that. It said it's not deductible for tax purposes. It's identified it's a high cumulative cost. It's given me a potential thing to do with that. So if you wanted to save, consider cooking from scratch. If you wanted more data, ask me to calculate overall food spend. And it's done this with all of these different transactions. Got suggested solutions here. So it's laid out all of the data. Then it's given you suggested next steps. It's given you some working tax reliefs you don't appear to be using. So mileage allowance, something called trivial benefits in the UK, where you can pull out £300 a year from your limited company tax-free for like small gifts and treats. Married couples allowance. I'm not married, but if I was, there's a relief I could be claiming there. And then most importantly, it's giving me a great next step. It's saying, listen, I know you don't know about this, so I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to tell you the question you need to ask me next. So things like this. So you could continue with a prompt like this and drop it in here. Oh, fantastic. We've just updated. Yes, Shen. Keeping it fresh in the background. So I saw a lovely question there, I think from Christina. So I'm going to stop share and come back to you in the chat. Can you use this to help you fill out your HMRC tax return? There's always a section there that I don't understand. Christina, that is a perfect use case for AI. So what I do after this exercise is I would just drop in, I'm going to share my screen again real quick. I would just drop into the chat that I was having with AI. I would take a screen grab of the form it wanted me to fill in, and I would type in, you know, from this screen grab of the HMRC form, I'm trying to fill in, guide me through what number goes in which box, and as a bonus, explain what the fuck it all means. And really, AI is incredibly good. AI tools, particularly these advanced reasoning models, are incredibly good at talking you through things like that, like really holding your hand as a non-expert, but someone who's a smart generalist. They're fantastic at holding your hand through these kind of things, particularly if you just take a screen grab of the form you're looking at and just go, help, what do I do here? They're fantastic at holding a hand and walking through it. Now, as an accountant, or with a bit of accountant left in me, I would say it's still worth this year, just like if you want to do it yourself, getting a friend who's an accountant or paying like an accountant a tenth of what you pay them normally just to get eyes on it, just to look over this, sense check this. I would say by this time next year, with how quickly the models are improving, it would be better. You get a better result by not consulting externally. And a lot of my friends who are still in practice just tell me, like, most people's tax returns they will feed it into a large language model anyway, just to check it. Basically the same process. Like, I'm a tax professional. Is there anything I've missed here? So if you don't feel weird about doing this stuff yourself, because I guarantee you the professionals whose job it is to do are also using these things to sense check what they're doing. So in a way, it's nice. We're all using the same tool. Okay.
Amazing. And before I entertain questions, did you have any closing slides or yeah?
So there's one thing that I thought would be cool to just briefly mention, which is something that we both do together, Shen, which I thought would be fun. So Shen and I run this course along with our good friend Ben called Get Good with AI. So we're running 2 virtual cohorts in the spring and an in-person course in London. 90 minutes a week for 6 weeks. We help build these kind of tools together. And if you want to join us, you get £100 off, or that's $130 for our American friends with the code EARLYBIRD2026. So the QR code's there, scan it, it'll take you to a list of the courses, or you can go to goodwithai.org, which is a site that we also built with AI. So just showing you how good AI is at building sites.
Thank you so much, Henry. We've got a question from Loretta.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. So I understand